Tonight, 2 schoolboys killed in another horrific crash in Sydney's west, and police want to talk to their mate who was driving.
Supermarkets threatened with legal action over bogus discounts.
Donald Trump slam dunks the Iowa caucus, a giant step toward re-election.
A Sydney couple terrorised at knife point in their own home by a dangerous gang.
Calls to ban energy drinks for kids after being linked to depression.
And more Aussie gold, this time at the Emmys.
Live from Sydney, 7 News with Angela Cox and Michael Usher.
Good evening. 2 young tradies who were passengers in a mate's sports car have been killed when the vehicle skidded off a rain-swept road at McGrath's Hill last night, slamming into a power pole.
The boys are among 5 people who've died statewide in just 24 hours. Police saying drivers' bad decisions are costing the lives of other people.
Addison Binjani, a 17-year-old electrician, and 16-year-old Matthew Simpson, a carpenter, were just about to begin their adult lives. The boys heading home after a training session at the gym. Friends leaving tributes at the crash site, devastated.
I stayed at one of their houses. It just breaks my heart knowing that they're gone.
Flowers, tears and hugs for 2 promising young men taken too soon, described by mates as the happiest guys.
It's just heartbreaking. I saw him that day and now I never see him again.
Last night, the pair were passengers in Caleb Nolan's Nissan 200 SX when the P-plater slammed into a pole at McGrath's Hill. Police believe the 17-year-old went to overtake a Ford Falcon, also travelling north on Windsor Road, when he lost control.
At the time, it is reported to police that speed may be a factor.
When he comes out of hospital, he's got to live with that for the rest of his life. There's nothing you can do to get over that.
The Ford driver, also 17, and his 2 female passengers, both 16, were uninjured. At this early stage, police don't believe the cars were street racing, but they will investigate whether the 2 groups were known to each other. It follows a horror 24 hours on our roads. 5 dead, 6 badly injured. A man and woman died at Hay in the Riverina, and this at Cowra. A 77-year-old driving the station wagon killed when a Nissan Pathfinder crossed the centre line.
The accidents we've seen over the last 24 hours are all related to driver behaviour. They are not related to any other factor except people making poor decisions on our roads.
The state's road toll stands at 18 so far this year, an average of more than 1 a day. Right now, the 17-year-old who was behind the wheel in the McGrath's Hill crash remains here at Westmead Hospital. He suffered chest injuries but was able to walk away from the wreckage and is listed in a stable condition. And police are now just waiting to speak with him so they can work out exactly what went wrong.
OK, thank you, Amy. Tonight, the consumer watchdog is putting supermarkets on notice, threatening legal action if it finds evidence of bogus discounts. And the Prime Minister says he is open to giving the ACCC tougher powers to investigate allegations of price gouging at the checkout.
In major supermarkets across the nation, down every aisle, sits the promise of big savings in the form of specials.
You get really wary of these big stores and you sort of flip underneath to see what the real price was, and there's not much difference.
I have to decide between, do I pay the rent or do I buy, a week's groceries?
The consumer regulator is considering suing big supermarket chains, investigating what it calls now pricing, known as specials.
If a business puts up its prices, say 10%, and the following day announces it's cutting them 10%, then that is misleading and deceptive conduct and illegal.
The ACCC says it will not hesitate to take action against large suppliers who are misleading customers about prices.
My government is concerned about the price of what consumers pay.
The major supermarkets stressing we are not aware of any actual or threatened regulatory litigation in relation to pricing issues. We work hard to ensure we comply with all Australian consumer laws. The major supermarkets could face multi-million-dollar fines if found guilty. But tonight, the opposition also wants an ACCC investigation into price gouging.
This is where we need transparency of fair prices from the farm gate to your plate.
If the ACCC asks for more powers, my government's up for giving it to them.
Isabel Mullen, 7 News.
In breaking news, a measles alert from New South Wales Health has just been upgraded. A 9-month-old baby who is infectious landed at Sydney Airport last Wednesday night on Emirates flight EK416 from Dubai. Then on Friday, the child visited a Lakemba grocery store, 5-Star Coffee and Nuts. Anyone who may have been exposed to the disease should look out for symptoms, including fever, cough and a rash. Measles can be deadly, but there is a vaccine.
Donald Trump has just delivered a crushing victory in the first serious test of his run back to the White House. In the first Republican caucus, Iowa has voted overwhelmingly for him to be their nominee, and there was daylight to second.
Iowa is an icebox right now, gripped by a deadly cold snap, but it has just supercharged Donald Trump's mission to win back the presidency.
We want to thank the great people of Iowa. Thank you. We love you all.
It took barely half an hour, and with just 1% of the votes counted,
0-7, Donald Trump.
It was already a landslide.
NBC News can now project that Donald Trump has won the Iowa caucus. Donald Trump, the former president, running away with victory.
At last count, he'd won 50%, more than double his nearest rival, Ron DeSantis. In these parts, people follow Donald Trump religiously.
God will look at this country and deal with this country accordingly.
It's a God thing. We've got to do what God wants.
Oh, yeah, we're going for Trump.
Even the bitter cold couldn't stop these devoted Republicans.
Gotta do what you gotta do, right?
Of course, Donald Trump.
Donald Trump has taken his first big step towards a rematch with Joe Biden, but after a thumping win here, he's switching off the campaign and back to court for a defamation trial in New York.
But for now, it is all about Iowa, a state where politics and preaching go hand in hand. That may have just resurrected a Donald Trump presidency.
The big night is going to be in November when we take back our country. Thank you very much, everybody.
In Des Moines, Iowa, Miley Hogan, 7 News.
The driver allegedly responsible for a deadly wedding bus crash in the Hunter Valley is expected in court tomorrow on upgraded manslaughter charges. Brett Andrew Button is accused of driving dangerously when the vehicle rolled in June last year, killing 10 passengers. Prosecutors have laid 26 new charges against him, taking the total number to 89.
3 teenagers are on the run tonight after sneaking into a home in Sydney's northwest and threatening the owners with a knife. The couple was left shaken up, but from now on will make sure to lock their garage.
They search the streets hanging from windows. A gang of teens in a stolen SUV cruising Kellyville Ridge. On Armour Avenue, they spot a garage door open. 3 boys hop out and sneak up the driveway, hunting anything of value. Over the next 10 minutes, the gang goes in and out 4 times, stealing phones, wallets and keys, returning them to the car. The final attempt, they entered the home, waking up Wei Ling Lin.
Everybody had a knife and just in front of my face. They say that, where's your money? Told me, where's your money? Now I say that there's no money in the house.
The teens took off with the 63-year-old's work phone and her 65-year-old husband's wallet.
Garage doors are open whole night. So they easy in and out, apparently in and out 4 times. I'm not really frightened because I feel they more frighten me.
Police arrived 10 minutes later, guarding the scene and checking security video. An opportunity for thieves here is now a reality check for residents on this street tonight, reviewing their own security measures to ensure thieves can't get in.
Oh yes, really frightening. Very good people.
Police are tonight still on the hunt. Bill Hogan, 7 News.
There is a potential new escalation in the Middle East tonight as Penny Wong begins her official visit there. The United States has condemned Iran over missile attacks near its consulate in Iraq, just hours after another American ship was targeted in the Red Sea.
Rockets in the sky, not in Israel or Gaza, but northern Iraq, fired near a US consulate. America tonight condemning the strike as reckless. Iran claims it's taken out the Israeli spy agency Mossad's headquarters there.
نفذت القوات البحرية.
Today, Iranian-backed Houthi rebels also hit an American ship in the Red Sea after US and UK forces last week carried out airstrikes to disrupt attacks.
They fired on our ships and our sailors. It was the biggest attack on the Royal Navy for decades. And so we acted.
Today, revealing 13 targets were hit, including drones and a cruise missile launcher.
We strongly condemn the Houthi attacks that are targeting commercial ships of all nationalities.
This was Eilat port today in southern Israel, the gateway to the Red Sea. Exports stranded on land, no imports on the horizon. The waters are calm, but the lights are flashing red here in the Gulf of Aqaba. The Houthis are hell-bent on crippling global supply chains, so they've made it too dangerous and too costly to dock ships here in southern Israel. Ships that used to travel through the Red Sea or the Suez Canal are now diverting around the Cape of Good Hope. That includes vessels carrying Australian exports, including cattle and iron ore, that can add 20 days to a journey.
Terror organizations are smelling weakness, they are smelling fear, and they are smelling hesitation.
There could be further strikes from Australia's allies.
It wouldn't be right to speculate on future action.
Now, Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has reaffirmed a commitment to send more Australian defence personnel to the region to help with the Red Sea crisis. They'll arrive by the end of the month. Penny Wong, the Foreign Minister, has now arrived in Jordan for a week-long diplomatic tour which will include Israel, arriving at a time of heightened tension across the region. And
Ash Mullaney in Tel Aviv, thank you. WA police have raided the home of a Catholic bishop and questioned him for hours over allegations of historical sex offences, first revealed by 7 News. Child Abuse Squad detectives helped seize boxes of material from the home of the former Bishop of Broome, Christopher Saunders, the most senior Catholic in Australia, under a sex crimes investigation.
It is an investigation into historical sex offences, so it may take some time to work through the new information.
Police acting after 7 News exclusively revealed a top-secret Vatican report alleging Saunders had up to 71 young victims.
Desperate owners of Sydney's crumbling Mascot Towers say they're being exploited and pressured over a deal to sell their units. Time is ticking on the life-changing decision that some owners claim will leave them homeless.
Instead of their dream retirement, Cliff and Veronica live the nightmare of being owners at cracked and crumbling Mascot Towers.
We cannot afford to get another mortgage, so we're virtually homeless.
Owner-occupiers of the abandoned apartments offered a deal to sell at a massive loss and in return have their strata debt and outstanding mortgages cancelled. But already debt-free, all the Bakers would get is maybe $300,000 for $1 million apartment they owned outright.
It's just cruel.
It's unacceptable. It's un-Australian and something better should be on the table.
Rachel Williams says she and her husband could lose $800,000 but don't sell and they'd be forced to pay whatever it takes to fix the complex.
There's no concrete answer as to how much that's going to cost you.
There's no special deal for investors because they can claim losses.
Investors, we just had to say I'm sorry, but investors are no different to buying shares.
Owners should get the final detail of the deal in mid-February. They'll then have a couple of weeks to decide if they're going to take it, as government rent assistance is about to run out.
The toll more than financial.
My husband has blood cancer and I blame completely the stress of Mascot Towers.
Ruined our health, it's ruined our retirement.
Paul Kadak, 7 News.
The underworld is upping its game, according to a yearly snapshot from the New South Wales Crime Commission. Organised mobs are becoming more professional, creating niche roles for executing gangland hits. Robert Avadia has the details.
Well, gangs used to catch and kill their own. Increasingly, though, underworld jobs are contracted out, from kidnapping, torture and extortion, which are commonplace now, to contract killers who can earn millions. Now, underpinning most of it is Australia's insatiable desire for drugs, especially cocaine. So much of it arrived undetected last year. The Crime Commission believes it crashed the street value. Still far more lucrative, though, than overseas markets, which is why syndicates continue to do business here. The report found Sydney's biggest gangsters are also worth in the vicinity of $100 million. Alan Muradian was among them until he was shot dead. Also, smugglers export people, drug lords seeking secret refuge overseas while their operations continue to flourish here. Communication has also become more professional, with groups using tailored encryption devices, while money is laundered through cryptocurrency.
Australia will start making missiles next year after the Albanese government signed a $37 million contract with US company Lockheed Martin. The guided missiles, fired from the back of a truck, will have a 70-kilometre range, with the first batch made in Western Sydney.
As you all know, anyone who's witnessed recent conflicts, we live in the missile age.
The government also plans to acquire long-range strike missiles to hit targets from 500 to 1,000 kilometres away.
Work is underway on the vital Pacific Motorway upgrade at Raymond Terrace, with the Prime Minister visiting the $2 billion project today. It's expected to cut 9 minutes from travel times during peak periods.
Good for jobs, good for the economy, good for tourism, good for road safety. This is a great project.
Once complete, in combination with the new Coffs Harbour bypass, there will be no traffic lights in a journey from Sydney to Brisbane.
Succession is proving it is the king of the small screen, dominating the Emmy Awards tonight in downtown Los Angeles.
Aussie star Sarah Snook stealing the show with a trifecta of trophies this year for her role as Shiv Roy.
On TV's biggest night, a hat-trick for the most talked-about series.
Succession.
Succession winning back-to-back Emmys for a third year, and tonight it can claim Best Lead Actress.
Sarah Snook, Succession.
The Adelaide sensation Unstoppable, Sarah Snook's third gong this year, with an emotional nod to her baby daughter.
The proximity of her life growing inside me gave me the strength to do this and this performance, and I love you so much.
4 seasons as the dysfunctional on-screen Roy family have created a lasting bond.
I love Sarah. She's fantastic. She's an extraordinary actress.
6 trophies for Succession, equal to The Bear taking out Best Comedy.
I love you, Eben.
And Best Comedic Actor. 5 Emmys for the road rage limited comedy series hit Beef.
I'm really grateful and humbled by everyone who watched the show and reached out about their own personal struggles.
Melbourne's Elizabeth Debicki as Princess Diana, pipped by Jennifer Coolidge in The White Lotus.
I want to thank all the evil gays. You know, I just really...
Sydney's Murray Bartlett also missing out, but the stars were shining on a silver carpet.
Postponed for 4 months due to the Hollywood strikes, tonight the Emmys are back, celebrating the biggest names on the small screen.
Pops of colour and sparkle for 75 years of TV magic. In Los Angeles, Jacqueline Robson, 7 News.
Time to check the forecast now with Angie. Asimus, Angie, not so much colour here. A very grey day.
It was, Ange. Those clouds just didn't budge once again. Not a lot of rainfall around Sydney either, generally only a few millimetres. The heavy falls tracked further up the coast, 100 millimetres plus recorded from the mid-north coast all the way to the border. That happened in the 24 hours to 9 a.m. Tonight, though, weather warnings are back in the state's south. They've jumped around a bit this afternoon, but right now they cover one pocket in particular through the southwest slopes and parts of the ACT. The concern is locally intense rainfall with falls of 80 to 120 millimetres expected. It's all being fuelled by a very humid air mass being drawn down from the tropics, and that is going to interact with a cold front tomorrow, producing that rain and embedded storms. Tops in the city and west reach 26 degrees today, and there is more rain ahead locally as well. Those details coming up soon, Angela and Michael.
Okay, thank you, Angie. 2 drivers have been trapped after their trucks crashed on a busy Sydney road. Next, a very messy clean-up job and a surprise twist for investigators.
A breakthrough for detectives over a deadly home invasion.
Mary gets to work on her first full day as Denmark's queen.
Later, new warnings about the effects of energy drinks on children's mental health.
And an electric car goes head-to-head with petrol with surprising results.
Good to be with you this Tuesday. Well, police from the Raptor squad swooped on a car early this morning, arresting a 25-year-old man over the shooting death of another man during a bungled home invasion. 25-year-old Zachary Davies Scott died in front of family members inside a Hunter Region home in December 2022. Homicide detectives have now charged 3 men. Today's suspect is accused of murder and remains in custody.
Police didn't have to search too hard or for too long to find a stolen tip truck after it crashed in Sydney's west early today. It hit another truck packed with pumpkins. 2 men had to be rescued. One of them is now fighting for life.
Tons of pumpkins scattered and squashed. Pulp splattered across Richmond Road just before dawn, the scene of a twisted truck collision at Berkshire Park.
A whole lot of trucks, cops, all emergency services were here this morning. It was all just red and blue lights.
In the cabins of the trucks, 2 male drivers were stuck. Getting them out, a delicate task.
They were both severely trapped by their legs. Both cabins were crushed.
One flown to Westmead Hospital in a critical condition. The other seriously injured. Police setting up a crime scene after discovering the smaller tip truck was stolen.
At this stage, it was reported stolen between 4am and 7am this morning, and that will be a line of inquiry for our crash investigators working in conjunction with the detectives.
Richmond Road closed for hours as crews tried to move the mangled trucks and clean up an almighty mess. Tractors brought in to shovel the spoiled fruit on what locals say is a notorious stretch.
It is dangerous, it can be very dangerous out here.
Actually, my brother died down the road here, just 1k down the road, yeah.
Serena Andaloro, 7 News.
Danish politicians say they have confidence in King Frederick with Queen Mary by his side.
Less than 24 hours after ascending the throne, the royal couple has got down to work as their new expanded roles begin.
In a snow-swept Danish capital, day 1 for the fairy tale royals. King Frederick, 18-year-old Crown Prince Christian, and Queen Mary.
Unfortunately, I wasn't here yesterday, so today I thought, now I have to see them. And I have admired and loved the royal family since I was 2 years old.
For the new king, his abdicated mother will never be far away for advice and support. This, the first time Mary didn't have to bow to Margrethe. Both now queens, they are essentially now equals. Inside Denmark's parliament, hurrah! They welcomed the new sovereign and the Australian-born queen they have come to love and praise.
I Hendes Majestæt, Dronning Mary.
The Speaker of the House describing Mary as the King's wise and composed wife.
Royal duties are, of course, nothing new for the King and Queen, but their titles and responsibilities certainly are, and with them comes increased scrutiny and attention on Frederick and Mary.
Of course, they are young compared to, for example, King Charles in the United Kingdom.
Now it's more than the Danes and the Australians who will take note of this royal pair as Frederick begins his reign. In Copenhagen, Hugh Whitfield, 7 News.
The wife of former Labor leader and Governor-General Bill Hayden has died less than 3 months after the death of her husband. Former nurse Dallas Hayden was 87 years old and passed away peacefully at her home in Queensland. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese offered condolences to the family, saying she was a person of wonderful warmth and depth.
With living costs rising, thousands of Sydney families are in line for a helping hand. Next, the new solar plan to cut power bills for those doing it tough.
Police charge the man accused of a destructive Australia Day backlash at Woolworths.
Why the demand for Sydney units has gone through the roof.
And ahead in sport, what made Pat Cummins change his mind about Steve Smith's move to opener?
A man has been charged over the vandalism of a Brisbane Woolworths store after the supermarket giant decided to stop selling Australia Day products. It happened early yesterday, a flare setting off a fire alarm. The 40-year-old man has been charged with willful damage and ordered to face court next month. Nearly $200 million will be spent making homes across New South Wales more energy efficient and reducing household bills. Thousands of people in social housing will benefit, those who are struggling most financially.
With bills piling up, Rose Mathers is watching every dollar that goes out.
Each time you get a bill, it's always more expensive each time.
Living in social housing, she looks to save money wherever she can.
Don't have the lights on all the time, so I can save in that respect.
Now the state and federal governments are looking to help those doing it toughest by launching a $175 million power play. More than 24,000 social housing homes will be able to upgrade their hot water systems, ceiling fans, air conditioners, insulation and solar panels.
Just because you live in social housing or public housing does not mean you should miss out.
Making homes more energy efficient while also driving down power bills.
In many cases, it'll be up to $500 per household.
The government will have to confront another energy headache this year, how long it plans to extend the life of a Raring power station, including how much taxpayers will be slugged to keep the lights on. The government forced to negotiate with operator Origin after a review found its closure would put energy security at risk.
We are not going to close the door on extending the lifespan of a Raring.
Or risk switching off the lights for good. Taylor Aiken, 7 News.
There's a change sweeping through Sydney real estate, with units outperforming houses when it comes to price growth. New data shows there are almost 100 suburbs where apartment prices are the best performers.
Real estate agent Sonia Dowdell has been ringing in the new year with bumper demand.
Hello, Sonia Dowdell speaking from Redwood Stanhope Gardens.
Unit prices in Stanhope Gardens have boomed, outperforming houses.
Having self-contained apartment buildings with the amenities in there, the market is definitely soaring. It's the place to be.
Across 97 suburbs, apartments have seen the greatest price growth. In 1 year, the price of units in Stanhope Gardens has increased 36%, houses 10%. At Waverley, units are up 17%, houses 10%, with similar results at Dural, Coogee and Randwick.
At the moment, we're observing a little bit of weak performance across the high end of the Sydney market.
Renters are moving away, favouring the decision to buy.
The rental crisis is real. Landlords and tenants alike are doing it tough right now.
When it comes to long-term capital growth, houses will perform better than units. The catch is being able to afford it in the first place.
While detached houses are often more desirable than units, a lot of buyers might not have a choice but to look to the unit sector.
But at least it's a foothold on the Sydney property ladder. Angelique Opie, 7 News.
Lava flows are slowing down in Iceland following the second volcanic eruption in less than a month. Molten lava has destroyed several houses in the town of Grindavik, with locals fearing they may never be able to return home. Last year's eruption was the volcano's first in 800 years. Experts say it could mean the region is entering a period of intense activity, with eruptions every few months for decades.
A team of Australian astronomers has captured a new image of a ball of tightly packed stars known as a globular cluster. It took more than 450 hours of observations to capture the ultra-sensitive image.
Household budgets are hurting with the cost of living crisis, but 2 entrepreneurs have come up with a way to save money and make some extra cash. They've developed an app for renting out just about anything lying around the house.
From taking up space to making money.
Both of them are $50 a day.
Tools, a wedding dress, crutches, the things you might buy for a one-time use can be put to use again and again.
There's definitely no limit.
Hiring instead of buying is the way these Aussie entrepreneurs see shopping habits changing during the cost of living crisis.
Buying brand new is just, I guess it's a struggle.
So they created Hire That, a free app where you can list just about anything to rent out in your local area. The idea was born when costs added up to put on a birthday party.
I thought, how good would it be just to source out locally some items that we could use just for the day or the night.
So far, the most popular products are Eskies.
What we've done is bring everyone into the market, your neighbour, the guy down the road.
To reduce spending and waste, Australia produces 75 million tonnes a year. Reduce, reuse, recycle was the guide to preventing waste, but that's now expanded with borrowing and renting included at the top of the chart.
Not only have you helped the environment with the packaging, you've also saved money and
the lender has also made money.
Saving the planet and the budget. Rosanna Kingson, 7 News.
There's worrying new evidence on the dangers of energy drinks with calls for a blanket ban for children. That's next.
The road test, an electric vehicle goes head-to-head with petrol. So which one comes out on top?
And soon in sport, the Panthers receive another title and prepare to lay the smackdown on the NRL again.
Australians have more than $1 billion worth of unused gift cards, according to research from comparison site Finder. Its survey found more women more likely to let their funds expire than men. But any gift card bought after November 2019 must come with a minimum 3-year expiry date.
There's new evidence tonight of the dangers of children guzzling energy drinks. The most detailed study of its kind has linked consumption to severe mental health issues, including suicidal thoughts. Experts want to stop them being sold to kids for good.
It's not hard to see why some energy drinks are so appealing to children. Demand driven by colourful and crazed social media campaigns.
The marketing that still occurs online through influencers is still a concern.
Now the most comprehensive study of its kind, drawing data from more than 1 million children, has confirmed a connection to increased physical and mental health issues.
The research has confirmed what we know. Energy drinks can cause irrational and impulsive behaviour in children.
Some of the effects include tooth decay, allergic diseases, insulin resistance, ADHD symptoms, depressive behaviours and increased risk of suicidal thoughts.
And one of the main reasons these drinks are considered unsuitable for children is the amount of caffeine in them. For instance, this one has 160 milligrams, equivalent to 2 cups of coffee or 4 cans of cola. There is also a lot of sugar in this Red Bull, 50 grams, equivalent to 20 whole teaspoons.
The combination of sugar and caffeine is a cocktail for disaster.
Having something that interferes with sleep can be extremely detrimental.
Parents encouraged to leave them on the shelves.
All children under the age of 18 are susceptible, and for that reason they should be banned for all children under the age of 18.
Tom Hartley, 7 News.
Checking the markets, and Australian shares slumped over concerns Europe's central bank might delay rate cuts. The ASX 200 down 81 points. Falling commodity prices weighed down energy, utilities and materials stocks. The supermarket giants also dropped. One Australian dollar is buying just over 66 US cents.
There is one chore at the Australian Reptile Park that requires keepers to be a bit nippy. The annual alligator health check, when their 3 most dominant gators are wrestled and wrangled for a medical examination.
The health check for these 3 boys went really well. They had some superficial marks, one had a busted tooth. That was about it.
Some lucky or plucky kids got to give them a pat afterwards.
I don't know how he busted his tooth. Electric and petrol cars have gone head-to-head in a test run from Melbourne to Sydney with surprising results. See what came out on top for cost and travel time. Don't miss that story soon on 7 News.
But first, Matt's here with sport. Pat Cummins has really changed his tune.
Well, he had told us this move was absolutely not happening at all. Michael and Ange, good evening. The skipper says Steve Smith's move is now permanent, starting with the Windies tomorrow. The cricket is next. Plus, Alex de Minaur clears a tricky first hurdle before the Australian Open breakthrough for Sydney's Max Purcell. And inside 33 hours of boot camp torture for the Manly Sea Eagles.
Thanks, guys. Tomorrow on Sunrise, Caught in the Act.
The incredible new way supermarkets are catching out shoplifters.
They'll never see it coming. See you in the morning, Sydney.
Pat Cummins has certainly changed his tune on Steve Smith. Adamant Smith wouldn't be opening a week ago. The skipper now calls it a permanent move that had to happen for Smith and his team. It starts against West Indies tomorrow. Test match eve in Adelaide, with another lesson in how to get what you want.
Very good, mate, very good.
Cadell Harris hung out with Marnus Labuschagne, adding autographs to an iPhone for his 10th birthday.
I reckon I got a cricket bat for my 10th birthday.
The big birthday present.
Who else is going to add to that list? Cameron Green, hopefully.
A wish granted by Australia's new number 4. The new opener.
It's as happy and as energetic. I've seen him around the nets the last couple of days.
Last time we asked Pat Cummins, he said Steve Smith would not be moving.
But seeing someone who's basically achieved everything in the game get really excited for a new challenge, you've got to entertain that, I think. Make sure it's
it's a shift that's, pretty much permanent.
Take him out early and get into that middle, then it, can create some concern for the Australian.
What the Windies would give for a talent like Carl Hooper. Maybe it'll be one of their 3 debutants tomorrow in a squad yearning for more Test cricket, not T20s.
I urge each player to go there and make a name for yourselves and, play Test cricket for the next 10 years. Simple.
How frustrating is it?
It's tomorrow. Tonight, the Sixers are in Perth to face Perth Scorchers in the Big Bash. The winner gets a second chance in the finals, and they're live after home and away. After a scare and sad end for Milos Raonic, Alex de Minaur is through to the second round of the Australian Open. No storybook for Naomi Osaka, but women's world number 1 Iga Świątek joined the Demon in the second round with the jubilant Sydney boy Max Purcell.
Australian Max Purcell needed 6 match points to down Hungarian Mate Valkuz through to his home slam's second round for the first time, thanks to a vocal crowd.
I was gagging it so hard, so you guys really helped me get over the line that last game. Thank you.
Desperate to join Purcell, Thanasi Kokkinakis doing battle with Austrian Sebastian Hoffner.
Oh my goodness. What a shot.
A fight last night against former world number 3 Milos Raonic for Alex de Minaur.
Oh, and he's got love 30 here.
The Australian going past or over the 6'4" Canadian.
Oh, he's got it. Tough man to lob, but he gets it.
A hip injury forced Raonic to retire. Next for the world number 10, unseeded Italian Matteo Arnaldi.
I'm going to be ready for that battle and, whatever happens, happens.
Light reading between games for 2-time champion Naomi Osaka. Any tips in the book failed. Caroline Garcia inflicting a first-round exit on the new mum.
I have to tell myself, hey, 6 months ago you were pregnant.
Beaten in a 5-set marathon finishing well after midnight. Tough for 22-year-old Aussie Rinky Hijikata. Long after game, set, match. Andrew McKinlay, 7 News.
2 big WWE stars might be scurrying away from Penrith after meeting James Fisher-Harris today. League's real-life hitman accepted a championship belt but has laser focus on a 4th straight NRL trophy.
Undisputed. It's the catchphrase that motivated the Panthers on the way to their three-peat, today recognised by the sport that inspired it. WWE stars Grayson Waller and LA Knight presenting Penrith with their own undisputed belt.
He's a big boy, but yeah, I reckon I'll get him.
I don't think we'd have any trouble. If they wanted to come find us in the ring, I don't think there'd be any trouble for us.
Perhaps scared by the sheer size of James Fisher-Harris, they decided to take on the media instead.
He's like, what, you 45 kilos? What are you going to do? You look like the kind of, you do cardio at the gym, don't you? You're on the stepper the whole time. You don't go near the weights.
The Panthers much more mellow when asked about losing their star player to the Tigers, and Jerome Luai hasn't lost any motivation for a 4th title.
He's ripping in, hasn't changed his persona, and he's excited to be out on the footy field and very resilient with his rehab with his shoulder, and can't wait to rip in for us this year.
The Seagulls are ripping in themselves in pre-season. 16 new recruits completing a gruelling 33-hour boot camp that included a march from Brookvale to Bondi, brutal exercises, and all on very little sleep.
It was good camaraderie, and the boys just took it with both hands. I was feeling tired, I was feeling sore, the same as everyone.
Jaleesa Apps, 7 News.
The 2024 Tour Down Under, stacked with Aussie and global talent, started with 144 Ks through Barossa wine country. You don't get this action at the Tour de France, into a sprint finish in Tanunda where Caleb Ewan was upstaged.
It is Welsford on the line.
Yeah, mate, this is a dream come true.
Sam Welsford, the Tokyo Olympics track medalist, is becoming one of the big men of sprinting and on the world tours. There are sporting fanatics, then there are Buffalo Bills fans. They filled grandstands buried in snow for their team's NFL wildcard playoff with Pittsburgh. Normally hurling beer into the air to celebrate touchdowns, today they threw snowballs.
Oh, there he goes. No one's going to get him. Incredible, breaks it for the touchdown.
The Bills beat the Steelers 31-17, and the big boy from Bankstown, Jordan Mailata, and his Philadelphia Eagles are out, capitulating in Tampa Bay 32-9. Of course, we want an Aussie win, but for all of us who grew up wanting to be West Indian cricketers, we hope for a big Test match tomorrow.
You need to channel some of the aura of Viv Richards.
Big Viv, that's it. Yeah.
Right, good on you, Matt. Thank you.
Matty.
Well, a road test between petrol and electric cars has thrown up some surprising results on a pretty long road trip.
It found the electric option was more expensive and it highlighted a glaring lack of charging infrastructure on country roads.
A typical holiday road trip, Melbourne to Sydney, but this time it's not the destination, rather the journey that makes it interesting. 2 BMWs, 1 electric, 1 petrol. The team from Car Expert almost couldn't believe the car using premium unleaded fuel cost less.
Look, it was pretty surprising in the sense that you hear in the media that electric vehicles are cheaper to run. Probably weren't expecting it to cost more and also weren't expecting to have to stop as much as we did.
They took a petrol BMW 7 Series and its electric sibling, the i7, on the 900-kilometre journey. The respective cars took off fully charged and fuelled. The electric vehicle cost $132 for the whole journey, the petrol car $118. Electric was also slower, a total 2 hours and 8 minutes spent plugged in, waiting to recharge.
If you are just driving in and around the city, an electric vehicle is going to be the more cost-effective option, but if you do frequently hit the road, that is something you need to keep in mind.
Making things more challenging, some charge points were out of order. To fully charge an ordinary electric vehicle, it takes around 30 hours from a standard connection at home, 18 hours from a fast connection at home, just 40 minutes at a public point. The average cost to recharge, around $15.50 at home, $42 in public. So, the verdict? Car Expert says electric vehicles are great around the city, but for road trips, there's work to be done. Blake Johnson, 7 News.
Now, Angie's back with forecast. Angie, there's a lot of rain on the way.
There is, Angie. Incredibly heavy falls forecast for southern New South Wales. Not as much for Sydney, but it's still looking pretty grey. Details next.
Tonight, 7 News headlines. 2 teenagers are among 5 people killed at a horror 24 hours on the state's roads.
The Prime Minister says the ACCC could be given more powers to tackle supermarket price gouging.
There's a measles alert for Sydney after an infected baby arrived at the airport last Wednesday.
And Australia's Sarah Snook has won Best Actress at the Emmys for her role in the hit show Succession. Now, here's Angie with Sydney's weather. Angie.
Thank you very much, Michael. Skies didn't produce much rainfall around Sydney today, generally only a few millimetres. The top was 26 degrees. We reached that quite late in the day after 4 p.m, and humidity was above 80% all day. Most metro suburbs reached the mid-20s this afternoon. Katoomba a comfortable 20. Those onshore winds just driving a few light showers at times. There are warnings in place tonight for locally intense rainfall through the southwest slope, southern tablelands, Riverina, ACT and Snowy Mountain. So 6 hourly rainfall totals of 50 to 80 millimetres are likely, while totals over 24 hours could reach 120 millimetres. That is due to an approaching cold front interacting with a warm, humid air mass being drawn down from the tropics. Those conditions will track east during the day, easing significantly by Thursday. Around the capitals, Brisbane a shower or two, aiming for a top of 31 degrees. That wet weather really ramps up in the southeast. Showers tending to rain for Canberra, Melbourne and Hobart, all expecting tops of 23. Adelaide also aiming for 23 degrees. The main difference there is that it'll be fine. Good news for the test starting tomorrow. Perth from a top of 38 today down to a more manageable 32. Statewide, we have the risk of storms and heavy falls west of the Divide. Daytime temperatures will be below average. As a result, Orange expecting a top of 22. Bathurst on track for 25 and just 12 for Katoomba, Thredbo rather. It is another grey day for Sydney tomorrow. Showers throughout the day, possible afternoon storm and looking a fair bit warmer. Richmond and Penrith and Parramatta all heading for 30 degrees, 29 for Mascot and Terry Hills should be a little bit cooler at 27. On the water, northeasterly winds to reach 30 knots, all happening on a 1.5 metre swell, but wind warnings are in place from the Hunter right down to the border. Sydney tomorrow, a warm night on the way, 21 degrees the forecast low, a top of 29, so it is warming up, but the clouds and showers staying put for now with another 20 millimetres possible. For the rest of the week, Thursday, those showers ease to a partly cloudy day. Will be warm as well. Friday, we return to sunny weather. And the weekend, importantly, is looking good. Partly cloudy with high 20s for Saturday. Sunday, tops in the 30s and dry conditions for Monday and Tuesday as well. So once we get past tomorrow, it's looking a lot better, Angela and Michael.
Yeah, something to look forward to.
Indeed.
All right, Angie. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Angie.
Before we go, here's a look at a special report we have for you tomorrow night.
In 7 News, Australia's first smart ear, changing lives.
An amazingly advanced in-ear technology.
How artificial intelligence is reinventing the hearing aid, promising to improve hearing, brain function, and even send medical alerts. 7 News at 6.
And that is 7 News for this Tuesday. We'll have updates for you throughout the evening.
Sunrise starts from 5:30 tomorrow. From all the 7 News team, thanks so much for your company. Have a great night.
Good night.
Stream 7 News anytime, live and on demand on 7 Plus. And with 7news.com.au, you'll know the news now.